Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the new show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is May 20th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 141. Whew. We're a third of the way through the year, sort of.
Yeah, a little more than that.
A little more than that, right? Today we're going to be talking about, you say Vase, I say a whole lot of other four-letter words. To the edge of space, Bezos. How about a little big house? Composing with audience phones. Lost church near medieval palace. Don't hobble the Hubble. Talking whale. A nearly $400 pineapple. Recovery of nearly 270 stolen objects. And profound benefits from space tech. I am Merwat, and all around me is the sentient AI from the future, keeping an eye on ohmTown and me out of trouble, not directly pressed upon me.
Good evening, hometown citizens.
Everything is powered by ohmTown.com and, mayoral and AI goodwill. So be sure to follow us here on twitch.tv and over on youtube.com. Just do youtube.com/ohmTown. You'll find us there. Do the podcast. Do a search for the podcast, ohmTown or ohmTown Daily News Show. That'll get this show. But ohmTown is the location. It is the channel. There's a whole bunch of shows over on Apple iTunes or Apple Podcasts. It's weird. Everybody still calls it like either iTunes or Apple Podcasts. But anyway, go search. But everything is still powered by ohmTown.com. I knew I forgot to do something. I didn't put the links into
the show notes. Mm-hmm.
Into the AI. I did not put it into ohmTown, and so now we have this problem where I have to put all of the links into the VOD right here at the beginning. And I don't want to put them into the show notes per se because they're gone in 60 days. It's kind of like a really lethargic gone in 60 seconds. It just takes a lot longer. So like twitch.tv doesn't keep anything longer than 60 days, at least not for us plebs, even those that pay. That's,
come on, Twitch.
Yeah. Keep everything hours and hours. If YouTube can do it, maybe you can too. Oh, and I just found out because I said, well, geez, I wonder if I can just post everything over on YouTube and RSS feed that out as the podcast source. And guess what? They block distribution. Even though they have RSS feeds, they block distribution. So, yeah. It's a lose-lose scenario here. And it's mainly because there's no ads. Podcasts are typically just audio, and so there's no audio ads injected. But video podcasts exist as well. That's what this really is. But they don't allow redistribution. Unless it's
that would be too easy.
Directly to YouTube, yeah. Lose-lose kind of scenario here. At any rate, all of the links are in the VOD now. Let's get into the show. I still don't do transitions anymore. I quite haven't gotten over that hump yet. Do I want to start doing transitions? It makes it easier to chop things up for the shorts, but...
Right.
Oh, and that's another thing. I am showing my shorts all over the internet.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Only mayors.
Yeah, only mayors. That's right. Yeah. Mayoral duties. Anyway, the first article is over in ohmTown Daily. Thrift store. You try and say this fast. Thrift store vase bought for $8 turns out to be a valuable piece of art vasery.
Thrift store vase bought for $8. Blah blah blah. I lost the rest of the headline.
You know what? Get out. Oh, look, the AI is muted. Oh. Alice Gibbs over at Newsweek.com put the article together. You're not really muted.
Well, that's good because I was disappointed.
Uh, Casually browsing the aisles of Value Village, Andy discovered a vase. See, when it's over $500, it's a vase, and when
Oh,
it's
is that the test
that,
or the threshold?
it is a purely
So
fiscal
four ninety
threshold.
nine ninety nine is still a vase.
Correct. Yeah. Well, he was amazed to see that it appeared identical to a piece attributed to the family of Italian glass artist Angelo Boravier or Borovier. Not
Probably the
sure.
last.
Barovier. So, quote, I found the vase. At this point, I'm going to call it a vase because I know what its end price is. A vase, quite by accident. I wouldn't call myself a regular thrifter, but if I happen to be passing a thrift store and I have a few minutes, I'll stop in. I've come across some great finds like this vase. Andy told Newsweek. So, do you think that this ends up in Hallmark movies? Like, oh, I'm going thrifting and I find a vase and then I fall in love with my spirit
Yes,
animal. And
but
what was the name of the one where it was actual? They owned a thrift store and it was a big long series of them.
was it a mystery series?
It was. Well, it was like the murder mystery series. You know how they do that?
Right. I know which one you're talking about. I gotta think of the name.
Yeah, well. So they quickly snapped up the vase, and before long, they found out it was an identical version posted online, and it was 921 on the site First Dibs. I've never even heard of that site.
No, I
Anyway,
haven't either. That series was called Garage Sale Mysteries.
yeah, there you go. So yeah, First Dibs. So Value Village Store had it for $7.99.
I mean, at
Yeah.
least they didn't have it for 99 cents or something.
The vase is attributed to renowned Barovier family. Born around 1400 in Venice, Angelo Barovier was raised in a family with a long tradition of glassworking, and he became the best known member of the family, uniting generations of knowledge as both an artist and a scientist. Artistic genius.
I mean, would you recognize a vase by Barovier if you happen to be in a thrift store?
No. But Andy did. They decided to share it with others on Reddit, Thrift Store Halls community. And somebody said, damn, awesome find. See, there's that 4-letter word. Great find. Find is the 4-letter word that I was talking about.
Right.
And enjoy. So they said, I didn't say it was worth $1,200, but rather that I just found a listing somewhere else that said that it showed it was somebody asking $1,200. Despite the backlash, an antiques dealer who saw the post about it, about the find, offered him $450 for it. They said they thought it was a joke. Interesting. So anyway, this isn't the first time. Somebody actually found a genuine Picasso for just $6 at a New York City thrift.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, back in 2023. They have a link to that, so follow that first link in the show notes, and you'll get taken over here to. Well, you'll go through ohmTown. All roads lead to ohmTown, and then we send you off to all parts internet. Let's keep talking about this next article. It's over in the Hobble channel. Bezos' is Blue Origin sends first crew to edge of space since 2022. The New Shepard rocket successfully completed its 25th mission into space Sunday. The 10-minute flight also marked the 7th time the company has flown tourists into space. There were 6 crew members aboard Sunday's mission. The AI and I watched that launch. The thing that I found remarkable about it is somewhere somebody came up with the bright idea for these self-landing little cylinders. Bloop,
Yes.
right? And now it's the de facto way of landing, right? Why didn't we do this all along?
Exactly. I mean, it's much more eco-friendly. It seems like it's easier,
Yeah. And
safer, maybe.
and these rockets, like the Merlin rockets and whatever that everybody is talking about nowadays because of SpaceX, they were actually born originally from Russian tech,
Oh, okay.
right? Because that's what SpaceX wanted to get and they were denied. And then I guess they managed to get one somewhere. I'm not quite sure that history now. I need to go and look into it again. But yeah, and now rockets are just flying off like Gattaca and coming back down and landing like science fiction. But what I noticed about Blue Origin, and let's just go over to the source of this, Sarah Fortinsky over at thehill.com put this article together. We watched this video, and the thing that I noticed about its launch was that there wasn't this seemingly massive apparatus around it. It didn't seem as robust and over engineered.
Right.
And it wasn't as violent as all of the SpaceX rocket launches. It just seemed
Yeah,
to.
so I mean, everybody talks about SpaceX, so maybe this is really where we should be watching.
Yeah, I'm really curious what it is. I mean, it has this little pea shooter of an engine right here, but it launched 6 people into space without sending debris all over the place, without all of this flash and bullshit about, oh, we're going to have to move this stuff over here and, Padre Island and blah, blah, blah. It all gone. All of that was gone. And when it landed, it was a puff of smoke or dust, actually dirt from the desert. And dunk, there it is.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was a relatively calm landing.
So matter of fact. And not a lot of hype. So I think people need to start pointing their attention over at Blue Origin because it looks like they got their shit together. And the way that this thing launched, seemingly without issue, and then when the crew pod landed, that's the odd one because they just kind of plop down on a balloon, and I mean the balloon is built into it. It has like this little air cushion and poof of smoke again, or dirt. The only thing that says kind of low rent about all of this is there's so much dirt. It's like wild west of space travel. It's Firefly.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird when it was launched and you could see that. I'm like, really, for the launch, maybe it could have been, washed or something.
But I don't even think that they could have accounted for any of that. But I thought that it was amazing to watch this thing just go up. Matter of fact, come back down. Everything's fine. No issues, no muss, no fuss. So they described the people that went up there. Dwight, now 90 years old, also made history as the oldest person in space. He is nearly 2 months older than the Star Trek actor William Shatner was in 2021 when he joined a passenger flight after returning life-changing experience. Well, yeah, because you got to see aliens and you got to see that the world is flat.
Well, and he was chosen and then never made it to space, so
Right.
I think that was pretty cool that he got a chance to do this.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too. So a bunch of business entrepreneurs from the US and France and a retired accountant also. Wow, they made some serious change. I don't know what the price was. Wasn't it something like $250,000 or something like that? I'm not sure what it was.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'd have to look. But anyway, pretty cool article. And that's article 2 in our list. So the next article, let's keep on going if you don't mind.
No, but I don't know where we're going to go from there.
We're going to promptly land in Smallville or Tiny Town or, well, I don't know. What do you, Littleville. But not ohmTown. ohmTown doesn't have tiny homes. They have atomic homes. ohmTown is built out of just a bunch of electrons bundled up in a little bit of resistance in the line. So, yeah, the article's over in ohmTown Daily. Big tiny house delivered on wheels stuns internet. Social media users adored the tiny home in the viral clip, with one saying, "That is bigger than my house." And now I want to express something to the AI in particular. Did you watch this? Did you watch the video over at Newsweek?
I have not.
I
I didn't even look at this article yet.
I want this. I want this house. I want to do this. So the mayoral mansion is going to change. I don't know about now. Let's say 5 years. And we'll be able to do all of this from the same from this kind of location. It's just going to be an external location from where the residence is of the mayoral mansion. So let's look at it. The article is by Sue Kim over at Newsweek.com. They're the life and trends reporter. And I have instantly fallen in love with this because it's so damn steampunky that the moment I saw it, it rolls in and it looks like it's a train car. But then the magic happens. This, okay, for the podcast and for those who aren't actually watching this stream, but they're here, you know. Okay, so this thing has a pirate's, a captain's wheel that raises its roof. It has little awnings that pop out of the side to expand the width of the tiny home. It has a steampunk Western-ish style. I mean, you just have to call it steampunk styling to it. The sides fold out and are weather sealed, right? So they basically lock into place. They pin it in, essentially doubling or tripling the size. The roof is about 15 feet tall. I don't know how tall it really is because all I'm doing is looking at it. It literally unfurls.
This is really cool. This might be the neatest tiny home I've ever seen.
But I guarantee you, if I were to try and get this commissioned, it would be easily $300,000.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's not inexpensive.
It has a full-size chandelier that they raise from the floor up to the roof. It has wood flooring and all the accoutrements that might be associated with a steampunk style, like fairy house. I mean, this thing is just awesome. Leather chairs, carpeting and hardwood and tiling and copper pots hanging from the ceiling. This thing looks like you would find like it's a wizard's house.
This is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, we're just seeing them basically build the whole house.
Yep. Yeah. It just unfolds. It keeps unfolding and unfolding. And there's little bits that you have to be aware of when you fold it all back together. But it has like filigree on the roof, on the ceiling, on the inside ceiling. It's like the Sistine Chapel in this thing. I mean, it is amazing. I love every single thing about it. So the video showing a brand new tiny home being wheeled into the woods has gone viral on TikTok. The clip was posted by Brescia Janae, I guess. Has amassed 22.3 million views since it first appeared on April 3rd. In the video, the poster documents the moment her tiny house was delivered and set up in a scenic forest setting. Dear God. Anyway, it says they're 1 minute away with the house. And the woman says in the clip, as the footage shows a truck pulling a small house across a dirt road surrounded by trees. Oh my gosh, she is so cute, is what's said.
I mean, it's really adorable and unique.
Yep. So they said the article shifts gears immediately. I don't think they talk about it. I don't know if they're going to talk about it anymore from here. But a 2018 survey by the National Association of Home Builders found that more than half of Americans would consider living in a home that is 600 square feet or smaller, i.e., tiny home. In March of 2021, 67% of home buyers in the United States said that COVID-19 pandemic did not change their preference for home size. However, 12% now reported they'd prefer a smaller home following the pandemic, while 21% said that they want a larger home.
I know why the people want the larger home.
They want to get the hell away from the people that they've spent 2.5 years with.
Exactly. They couldn't escape their house.
Yeah. But you could. That's just it. You could go outside, touch grass. That's kind of not the right perception.
Maybe people didn't realize that. We were so hooked to technology and everything. Maybe when the pandemic hit, people didn't think, oh, I could just walk outside.
There is no way. The house cost $92,000 with sales tax, delivery, land clearing, hooking up septic, electrical,
there is
plumbing.
No way. The furnishings and all that stuff did not cost $92,000.
There is no way.
Because this in the picture is not what we were looking at. That's like a baseline house, and then they've I don't know, retrofitted it or whatever.
Yeah, this
and
is
furnished
a stock
it
image.
And made all those things that where they fold out, etc.
According to other videos shared by the poster, the tiny home spans just shy of 399 square feet and features a large floor-to-ceiling window, features large floor-to-ceiling windows which allow ample natural light to fill the space. The home includes a living room, an open-plan kitchen, and a sleeping area upstairs. There is an upstairs. But with the roof down, you're not sleeping up there. You're going to have to pull over somewhere. But they say that it costs $92,000. If it's $92,000, hands down, I would get 2 of these just so that you could have one to get the hell away from somebody. Have visitors over.
I think this is closer to $300,000 though.
Yeah. This might have been the value add. This is the marketing where the people that put this thing together are like, here, $92,000. We want it to go viral. Boom. And now they're charging $300,000. I'd have to go and look. But they don't say anything else about it. It just says congrats. So I don't know if there is something more out there, but I'll look around and see if we can find something. The original poster replied literally that user Nami said, that's a big, tiny house. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it does look, although they make it look smaller inside, not with the thing like the elevated roof, but because it's so packed. With decorations.
But that atmosphere was the thing that I said that I wanted to do, which was the whole steampunk aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
But then when you think about it, you're like, I could never sell an actual home that's built around the steam. There would be one person on the planet that wants it more than me.
And they might not want to be in wherever your area
your location is. Yeah. But with this, hey, I could bring it somewhere and say, yeah, I'll sell it to you. There's 2 times in a boat owner's life and there's 2 times in a tiny home owner's life. When you buy it and when you sell it. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the continuity report. Composer Tan Dunn spreads his wings as an audience unmutes their phones. So, composer Tan Dan. Why is Tan Dan? It's a typo, isn't it? Dunn?
I think it is, but
Tan Dunn and 5 visiting musicians joined the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra at Strathmore Music Center on Saturday. This is a WP. Oh no, I forgot about this. I can't log in live. I'm sorry. So this is the one. This is the one where they ended up discussing, or actually just engaging with the audience and playing music with the phones.
Oh yeah, there was a QR code and that opened an audio file on your phone, and that was a simulation of bird song. which was actually produced by instruments. Um, and then that was supposed to, like, you're basically supposed to interact, I guess, with the piece during a set time by doing that, which is interesting, right? Because a lot of these places, of course, are like, don't have your phone on, don't do this, don't do that.
Yep. Yeah, because there was a while, maybe it was last week, I think somebody just went off the rails because somebody, their phone went off. And then there are other times where a composer or a musician embraces it and like has fun with the riff of that. Um, yeah. I'm sorry, folks. I didn't log into the Washington Post before the show started, and I should have. But
Well, it looks like you did a lot of experimental things during this concert, but I think that one was the reason this was submitted, just because it's kind of embracing of technology, which not every traditional music style does.
yeah, some people get a little miffed about it. All right. Well, we'll just jump over that and we'll revisit it at another time. But when you follow the link, folks, you won't get hit by that. Possibly. You might end up getting tagged by it depending on how many times you've gone to the Washington Post. They have a soft paywall and not all articles are behind it. And it's a hot mess to try and tease you into becoming a consumer of it, but it usually just pisses people off. But anyway, there you go. The link will still go through ohmTown over to the source because I had already known about it and to some degree, but yeah, I failed to log in. Sorry about that. So this next article is over in ohmTown Daily as well. Lost church of 600-year-old monastery found near medieval royal palace. The church's ruins were found below a tennis court near the medieval royal palace in a Hungarian castle town. So again, buried under soil,
Sediment.
scavenged for all of its above ground whatever prior. So it had been there for 600 years. All right. The article
I
is,
mean, who knew?
see, there's so much history. And there's a lot of other countries that there is history of humanity there. And we'll never know because people can't get out of their own way and there's too much conflict. We would have a so much greater understanding if everybody would just, it's so naive of me to say it out loud, but if we could just freaking get along. It's so frustrating, you know, as a progressive, as a person who wants the world to advance beyond our terrestrial boundaries, see past our noses, and use technology to feed and clothe and protect everybody uniformly across the board, right? Some people have aspirations to have great wealth and power and whatever, but society still needs to control itself and not have these massive inequities. There are people that are standing on street corners that can't get a job because they can't get a place to live because rent is $5,000 a month. And then there's somebody that's like, I make in 5 minutes more than most people make in their lifetime.
Exactly.
So Aristos Georgiou put this article together over at newsweek.com, and it's about an archaeological find. Archaeologists have uncovered the remains of a lost centuries old, and it says lost centuries old. I mean, it's almost an eon, for crying out loud. Church near a medieval royal palace. The remains were found below a tennis court during excavations at the site of, I think it's Visegrad, a castle town in Hungary. The settlement, located north of the Hungarian capital of Budapest on the right bank of the Danube River, is known for its medieval citadel and royal palace ruins. The lost church once formed part of the former Franciscan monastery, the remains of which lie next to the palace's ruins. So this is the medieval royal palace.
Wow.
That is big.
Yeah, that doesn't look like something that would be kind of well, yeah, it's like it should be hiding in plain sight, right?
Yeah, see, but I think that this was probably like covered up, and a lot of this work right here is modern replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's gray and there's white stone here, and you can see where it looks like it could have been patched. It even looks like these are archways. This is really kind of artistic in nature. So I don't know if that's actually intentional and patched, or if all of this is legit work, like the original builder's work, or what. But it's such this patchwork of whatever, and then up here is almost Roman era um, column work and facade.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, I
really
wonder if
fascinating.
this is similar to other ancient buildings, and then you had multiple civilizations building
Yeah, patching
layers
onto
and
it. Yeah.
hmm
So like you dig down under this and you'll find like megalithic style stonework. That's the foundation, and then under that you find even more fantastical architecture. Not really artistry, but art in its own right, in that it is these massive building blocks. But who knows? Like nobody's going to sit there and risk digging down on the side of one of these walls, hoping that it caves in. Holy Roman Empire was a political entity spanning the western, central, and southern parts of Europe that lasted for around 1,000 years, from the tail end of the first millennium until its dissolution in 1806. 1806? The Holy Roman Empire lasted. My history has leaked out of my head. Rather than being a
I didn't know it
single,
was that late.
yeah, uh, rather than being a single unitary state, the empire was a confederation of numerous small and medium-sized political entities. So, in the first few days of the ongoing excavations, the remains of the church's sanctuary and its high altar were uncovered. The Visegrad Renaissance Development Program's Facebook page reported. Archaeologists subsequently found a large crypt in front of the main altar, which appeared to have been looted after the monastery was depopulated. See, depopulated? Is that a nice word
Yeah,
of
that's
everybody killed?
I'm like, that sounds like a euphemism.
Yeah. And I suppose, over a period of 600 plus years, um, every tomb gets robbed, if it was ever a tomb kind of a thing. So, yeah. But there you go. Some more history about the human condition, and we discover a little bit. Keep digging, everybody. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. NASA doesn't want random billionaires messing up the Hubble Space Telescope. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Just random ones, though. I couldn't be speaking of any one
Exactly.
particular. Maybe
Targeted
two
ones or whatever.
billionaires are having, well, let's just say aspirational oligarchs are having a moment with space right now. Elon Musk with SpaceX, Jeff Bezos with Blue Origin, even Richard Branson with Virgin Galactic. All the rich folks are building rockets so they can go look at space. But one billionaire isn't satisfied with it just looking at it. He wants to go touch
Do I dare ask what kind of ASMR that is?
it. Touching your telescope. Anyway, turns out having a lot of money may not qualify you to repair delicate scientific equipment. No, you're still a billionaire dipshit fever dream. Amber De Silva over at Jalopnik put the article together. Thank you. Jarek Isaacman, a guy who made a payment processor once, has offered NASA funding for a maintenance mission to the Hubble. Isaacman doesn't own a space company himself, but is offering to fund a SpaceX mission to the aging, beleaguered piece of orbital scientific equipment. There's just one problem: extortion. NASA thinks he may do more harm than good because he wants to go up. Right? Let's see. There's just one problem. According to NPR, NASA thinks he may do more harm than good. Internal NASA emails obtained by NPR through a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, show that about a year ago, longtime Hubble experts were asked to weigh in. They expressed concerns about the risks of what was being proposed. In best case scenario, they could improve Hubble's ability to point at celestial objects. In worst case, it'll all end up in a Texas home's living room.
Oh no.
Yeah. Wow, wait. I'm going to say what they say in this thing. In a worst case scenario, however, an accident could leave the multi-billion-dollar telescope broken, or even more tragically, tethered to the dead bodies of the astronauts sent to repair it. What?
Wow, that went very dark.
Why on earth would that actually happen, though? I mean, we do send people to, like, the ISS to do repairs on it. Or satellites, we go grab them and repair them, right? So if there's one thing
Last
NASA
I
basically...
checked.
So I don't know, maybe this person isn't sitting there saying, yeah, they want to participate in a spacewalk using SpaceX's new EVA suit. He does, however, run a company that maintains and operates a private fleet of military aircraft. If that does sound dystopian and mildly terrifying, that some guy can own and operate approximately 150 tactical fighter aircraft with any kind of electoral process to keep him in check. That's because it is. This dude owns a company that operates a fleet of private military aircraft.
Right. I mean, clearly relatable to the rest of society.
Yeah, I'm just going to move on. The next article is over in the Hobble channel. Are we really about to talk to whales? The past decade has seen an explosion of new research into some of the most fascinating sounds in the sea, the vocalizations of whales and dolphins. Let's see, they're tearing apart not mine. I respect whales too much to go tooling around in a yacht and pissing them off. I like to dive with them. That would be fun. Luke Rendell over at The Conversation put the article together, but it's posted at phys.org. A gray whale breaching. It's a picture of me pulling myself out of the pool.
Oh, wow.
So they've uncovered how humpback whales learn songs from neighboring populations so that these songs travel from Western Australia to South America. They discovered bowhead, I think it's bowhead, whales singing 184 different songs over 3 years and learned how bottlenose dolphins use signature whistles to shore up alliances. Remember, we talked about how they taught each other how to create a wave to pull seals off of
Right.
ice floes.
Like off a pier, yes.
So researchers have shown that sperm whale vocal dialects are more different the more they are in contact with each other across the entire Pacific, suggesting these dialects function as ethnic markers. Advancing technology in the form of drones, acoustic tags, and recorders mean such insights are accumulating rapidly. So can you imagine? Now they're going to leverage AI. 2 recent studies stand out for the dramatic claims they make about whale language. One details a humpback responding to the playback of a call with a similar one, but then ultimately losing interest. This study's importance was to demonstrate that such playback studies are possible because playing back an animal's calls and observing their reaction is a tested method for uncovering the meanings and functions of signals. So, in Arrival, they try to learn the language of the visitors. And so they do certain things, write certain things, act a certain way, and then they record what the visitors demonstrate as a result of that. And then they try and translate it. Like saying,
if they heard
man,
a click or something,
yeah,
and then they saw them do something, then they think that means something with the word or whatever.
Yeah, or they point at the person and say human. and then they see what the person or what the entity does on the other side. That's basically what they're doing here. They play a tone, they listen for the response, they play a subordinate tone, listen for the response, and then try and translate it to make sense. We know what our statement is supposed to be symbolic of, but is it really, their language? Close Encounters of the Third Kind is identical to that, using a mathematical and sound formula to represent communication. Ultimately, they take humans and return some that they took previously. Quite fascinating. So the study's importance was to demonstrate such playback studies are possible. The second study is a detailed analysis of patterns of clicks called codas produced by sperm whales. It shows the whales appear to synchronously change the tempo of their codas when using them in exchanges with each other. So,
Hey, that's fascinating. I didn't know animals varied their speed of communication.
if I can understand faster, like what you're saying, then I guess we can. If you're fluent in a language, you don't have to slow down. Maybe that's what's going on here.
That's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that observed in animals.
Fireflies to primates. It apparently happens across the animal kingdom. Few animal displays are as breathtakingly synchronized as the four-part chorusing of plain-tailed wrens, while happy wrens use pair-specific duets to signal commitment to mates. Aw. That's actually amazing. Now I want to go and dig into that.
I want to go study whales.
Wow, that's
That's
amazing.
really interesting.
So these findings are exciting and fit in with the general understanding of codas having a social bonding function, but the scientists also tried to force these tempo changes into a phonetic alphabet, like the International Phonetic Alphabet for Human Languages, and it is this latter claim that has grabbed headlines. So others say don't believe the hype. While we've been closely studying cetacean vocal behavior in the wild and in captivity for several decades now, compare that to how quickly you and I can start exchanging ideas with another person that we don't share a language with, because we use our theory of mind to understand each other as communicative agents. I don't think that's it, actually. I think that there's more to this. The simple fact that we are both baseline humans, we have we have the same genetic history, the same genetic memory, the same programming at a genetic level to understand things, because we understand pain and pleasure. We understand, failure and success at a baseline, regardless of our language. We have the emotional foundations. But if you take somebody that's never been with another human being, found out in the woods, and never had been interacting with humans, and it's pure animal, I think it would be harder for them to align, but even they would eventually align because, again, humans, we have the same instinctive building blocks. That's why we can't talk to, a gorilla. We can't talk to, a bee. We don't understand even its anything. We just make these guesses, and then we go 25 years later, oh shit, we were wrong about that.
Right.
So they say in this article, we should be wary of ranking species on a single dimension relative to humans, as if all evolution is a path to something like us. Much like early anthropologists ranked societies by their progress toward Western perfection, quote unquote perfection. Instead, let's take ourselves off the top of the ladder and see other animals as distinct branches of an evolutionary tree. Yes, but we could still be able to decipher how and why and what is being said and done. We now understand supposedly where bees, the dance of the bee, the wiggle, the timing, etc., the number actually tells how far a pollen patch is. and where water is and stuff like that. And it's because we've observed and deciphered. We can do the same thing with everybody else, with everything else. Why? Because now we have AI to go beyond what our human observation limitations are.
That's true. I mean, I guess I don't know how much observation we do of whales, but seems like we could get some basic concepts if we can get AI to distinguish the sounds better than humans can. And then they go, oh, every time this sound is made, whatever, one of the whales swims away or whatever happens.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. And then they pull in things like SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. The leader of one group, Project SETI, argued that understanding whale language will help us when we meet ET. And while it seems like it's, a statement that is beyond the pale, the idea here is if we have the ability to decipher a non-human species language, why wouldn't we be able to communicate with aliens that aren't going to speak our language, may think that we are the equivalent of ants and ignorant and incapable of actual communication at their level, and just wipe us out? But if we demonstrate that we are something beyond that, maybe they won't, or maybe we'll learn something from them. And anyway, this is the fantastical aspect of the show, because I don't think that, at least in my lifetime, I don't think we'll ever. Anyway, let's keep going, because I'm really curious about this next article, because there's a nearly $400 pineapple being sold at a Southern California produce store.
Exactly.
The hell? It's over in the Hobble channel. Families in California pay more for groceries than in any other state. Now, a single fruit is being sold at a Southern California retailer that costs more than the average of $297.72 per week that households typically spend on food in the Golden State. This is such a clunky sentence.
It is.
So the Ruby Glow pineapple is available from Melissa's Produce for a whopping $395.99. The fruit is pinkish red on the outside and yellow on the inside. We talked about this. These are very rare, created by Del Monte. It says only a few thousand are produced of the expensive pineapples are produced each year by Fresh Del Monte, which sells a variety of produce. These are so, oh man, I don't want to. I'm going to end up doxing myself if I say it. Okay, so anyway, you can genetically modify, splice together various things, and you can end up with a fruit like this. And that's kind of, I think, what's going on here. Jazz Kang over at The Hill put this article together. And Del Monte says Ruby Glow pineapple is a result of 15 years of research. The company had a limited number available only in China earlier this year before electing to bring the fruit to the United States. I've actually been trying to get my hands on this.
I don't think I've heard of this one specifically. I mean, I have heard of like Honeycrisp, which are also mentioned in here.
This is the first time that I've actually seen it mentioned that it's coming to the United States, but I was trying to get this to grow it, and obviously it's kept very close to the vest. So high-end consumers have become more interested in luxury fruits in recent years. This is dystopian in and of itself, But that you have an orange? Please, let me have
I know, that's exactly. It's like Book of Eli or something.
Oh God, yes. Oh my God, that was hilarious. That you just say that out of the blue. I was going to say this. I was going to say the same thing. It's so weird when you do that. For a sentient AI to just like pull stuff out of my head is kind of creepy. But awesome. It's awesome. Anyway, Aussie strawberries. Those are these huge, very sweet, very delicious, high quality, extremely high quality strawberries. They put them on like pillows to transport them, and buff them with, how you're supposed to buff your car with a diaper because that's the only softest thing
Right,
should
right.
be. Yeah, that's it's like awe-inspiring. Apparently, I've been trying to get those too because I want to grow my own strawberries in the lab. So Sumo Citrus have garnered strong sales despite being more pricey than non-specialty fruits. So yeah, I'm really interested in this, but 395, I'm gonna say $400 interested.
I think you can round up
Yeah,
because this is like an expected price. So who knows what it's actually being sold for.
that is awesome. I really have been looking for this ever since I heard about it. It was either late last year or earlier this year. Um, but yeah, I just could never get my hands on anything. Um, Plus, it takes forever and to grow and whatnot. So okay, so let's keep going though. The next article is over in Prime Glass. British Museum recovers a further 268 stolen objects. The institution's chair, George Osborne, has described the total number of items returned as a result that few expected, though more than 800 remain missing. So, British Museum recovers a further 268 stolen objects. The author of this article is Martin Bailey over at theartnewspaper.com. The institution's chair basically is overwhelmed that there 800 remain missing, but they're still getting some of these returned. Let me zoom in a little bit so that this can be read by citizens of ohmTown. Around 2,000 pieces were either stolen or severely damaged in the most serious incident involving a UK museum curator in well over 50 years. Now, has not been verified as far as I know.
No, I don't think so. And I mean, they've definitely pinned it on this curator, but I don't know if they actually know that it's a curator or if they've even prosecuted the person.
Yeah, they say that the thefts had gone on for more than 20 years without being detected, and they're blaming Peter Higgs. As of last July, the acting head of the Greece and Rome department was dismissed for gross misconduct. A Ty Goodell, a Danish collector and dealer who acquired 351 pieces without realizing they were stolen, has already returned those that he had bought. Now, I'm really curious. There we go. Gradle is the person who blew the whistle on the theft. Although his warnings were initially ignored by the museum, his revelations led to the departure of museum's director Hartwig Fisher and the deputy director Jonathan Williams. It went on under their watch. The art newspaper has been steadfast reporting this stuff. So you definitely, if you want to learn more about this, it's going to be too difficult to go back into our history and find this because we're a little arcane with our titles in the show notes. But the URLs will have something to do with it. So when you do a search in ohmTown, you'll pull up, if you type in like a British museum in the search engine, you'll pull up both articles that are related to it and the shows, the podcast. So few expected to see this day, and even they had their doubts when the announced the devastating news that the objects had been stolen from their collection. People understandably assumed that it was. We were unlikely to ever see the more than a handful of them again. But this person, apparently, the investigation is into Higgs is underway, but they're naming this person as the person. So far, it remains only an inquiry, which means that they really shouldn't be blasting this person's name all over the place because, well,
Yeah, that's what's kind of odd. I mean, this, I understand it because they're reporting the museum, let the person go, etc. But we don't really know yet.
yeah. Small display with 10 of the recovered items still on show. Rediscovering Gems, Small Wonders, Big Impressions runs until June 6th. And if you have more information about these thefts, if you've received these items, I'm sure that the British Museum would appreciate them returned and there wouldn't be any questions asked Perhaps, I don't know. I think that if you were to like put them in a like a baby basket and just leave them at the door and knock and then run away, you may not be chased. They're just happy to have their stuff back.
Well, right, exactly, particularly if it's undamaged.
Maybe leave a note. Hey, here's some more evidence that this person really is the person that did this. But shouldn't at some point this just be an open and shut case?
Well, yeah, I mean, how about the thing where the items were being sold, right?
Right.
Like, so who was part of that transaction? For instance,
Right.
was it the curator?
Yeah. Who
Yes,
was the
okay,
person
then
that
the
sold
person
it?
probably had a role in it or whatever. But I agree, like, can't they just trace that transaction, particularly here since they have one of the collectors identified? Like, who
Y-
did they talk to?
yeah. Who did they buy it from? You know, what coffee do they drink? What is their blood type? Who did Peter Falk? Let's go on. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. The most profound ways space technology benefits us. Well, apparently it turns people into billionaires. The most profound ways space technology benefits us. I'm going to go straight on over to Newsweek. As we grow to learn more about our solar system and beyond, the resources associated with these initiatives have also produced a variety of benefits for life on Earth, according to Men in Black, Velcro. Dylan Taylor is chairman and CEO Voyager Space Holdings, who wrote this article, but it's published by Newsweek.com. So I don't know what this is. This is the first time that I've ever read something like this one, where it's from some CEO, but it's purported as
Yeah.
news.
I mean, I guess it's like an opinion piece, but I agree, it's
Yeah.
very unusual.
Yeah. So better understanding of the planet. Yeah, we use this remote sensing, not remote viewing. Remote viewing is something else. There's a lot of woo-woo there, but remote sensing is technological from satellites, understanding the flows of like thermodynamics or chemicals in the water or foliage penetrating remote sensing, where you can see where a building is in a forest. You know, FLIR and things like that. There's a lot of technology that is born from satellite research, fundamental research, and tactical to practical technology exchanges and whatnot. We just talked about that over the weekend as well. That stuff that's built for the military and government actually gets stepped down into private sector pretty rapidly when it doesn't have practical, or I should say tactical use. Um, so prevailing satellite technology allows a clearer, more clarified view of the Earth's climate, including but not limited to notable shifts in the planet's composition, metrics related to natural resources and emissions. Google just had a satellite up in space that's measuring where what is the gas? Greenhouse gases are flowing from various locations around the world so that they can actually target
Oh, right.
responses.
Is this the one with the map?
Yeah, yeah, methane leaks and stuff like that associated with like drilling and the off gassing from processes, industrial processes. Um, and gauges associated with air and water quality, etc., natural disasters. We actually knew how much changed in Japan after the latest earthquake because there were satellites focused on Japan, and you could actually see the uplift of the entire country. So these capabilities expand to the tracking of natural disasters and widespread planetary activity. It's all kinds of amazing. AI, 5G, advanced analytics, all of this combined is allowing greater breakthroughs, our ability to go into space with regularity and safety. I mean, we're talking it's getting closer that space travel is more reliable than a Boeing. Concurrent trends exist with this revolution. Everything from the cellular network innovations of Starlink to the process of developing leaner, more affordable satellites for the future. and Starlink are little microsatellites, and they're doing a big job, but in a small package. They're so small that they're susceptible in great numbers to solar wind resistance that can pull them out of orbit. A couple of years ago, about 26 of them actually met their demise because of solar wind resistance from a coronal mass ejection.
Well, they better watch out because we're having a rough year for those.
Yeah, we just got over one, and I'm sure, like a obsessive X, they'll be back. So while some of the changes were products of a dynamic and ever-changing historical period, they underscore a key fact. As space research grows, so too must its underlying personnel, and this is a positive self-feeding cycle as we reach further and further beyond than ever before, with the educational system benefiting as a result. So pay your taxes, folks. A smarter population means that they're more capable of making effective change and positive change to the society around us. You do not want a dumb population. You just don't. Not unless you're, well, that's a different show.
Right. That could be its own episode.
Yeah, and I don't want a soapbox. So look at that. Final thoughts. Modern space industry continues to inspire tomorrow's astronauts, researchers, and aerospace engineers because it must. I think that this is kind of a circular article and doesn't really say much, other than the obvious that we need to keep advancing. A lot of stuff actually comes out of space research, where once we come back to Earth, we apply that research because we get a better understanding of how something works, because you can't do it in gravity. Forming something that can only be formed in space because there's no gravity or little gravity. You can't make anything perfectly flat initially because gravity will pull it down. And cause a warp, or there's a meniscus that forms, and I don't even know if in space a meniscus doesn't form, but it's zero gravity, so why wouldn't it just be flat? Now I want to go and look that up, but I'm just saying that there's things that we don't know about, and the research is done in space, and then it comes back to us.
Right.
Anyway, that's it for today. I am Mayor Watt. Oh, but before we do that, we always get into our Blue Origin rocket and shoot ourselves up into the edge of space, look down and go, oh, look, Main Street. And we come back down and go, look, oh, a whole bunch of new articles. But we're not going to do that because news is always wonky lately. And if I ever want to promote this show, I can't show anything political because the goobers that say yay or nay about promotion have zero context, fidelity.
Yeah. And I think the time of day, like there's always a little batch of political news that comes in right around the time we end the show.
I'm looking at you, the hill. All right, folks. That's it. I am Mayor Watt. All around me is the Sentient AI's visualizer. And we're out. You want to say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Now, before I go, I want to do some ASMR on the Blue Origin rocket. To the moon, Bezos.